All right. I don't even know what's happening here. I don't even know what's happening here. We're just drumming. All right? We're just drumming. That's it. Playing drums, clicking things, playing drums. That's what's happening right now. All right? I don't even know if it was successful, if it's a process. Like, just sit down, play the drums. There's things here. Maybe it'll happen here. Whatever. All right? Sometimes you just gotta just sit down, shut up, and attack, play. You know, screw up, have some wins, have some losses, finish some themes, finish some things, abandon things. It's a whole bunch of stuff happening. Hands are like, you know, feeling okay, then they're protesting, then they're relaxed, then they're tense. Lots of things are happening. You just gotta like hold on to the reins, keep riding, keep control. This is what's happening. All right. What are folks saying on the internet? Let's see. Is anyone saying anything? Is anyone saying anything? Oh, man. Rizman on YouTube. Wow, I was just working on some stuff from your videos that added to my regular practice routine. Nice coincidence. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Rizman. I'm glad you were, you know, working on the stuff, checking out the stuff. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, guys, it's Matthias. Matthias on YouTube. Hey, Steve, Happy New Year. Fresh heads and tuning sound even better than last year. Yeah, we got new heads. All right, because I discovered a new drummer on YouTube that some of you may be familiar with already, but I wasn't. And it's this guy in the Ukraine that I really, really like. Super tasty drumming, amazing drum sound. His name is Alexander Marenko. Aleksander Marenko, Murenko. You guys check out Alexander Marenko on YouTube. His playing is so nice, and his drum sound really inspired me. He's got this amazing sounding drums. His stuff is really dialed in too. He's like one of these guys that like really has a great drum sound. Anyway, I was inspired by Alexander, so I went and bought new heads. And as you know, you've heard me talk about before, like getting a good drum sound like while you're streaming, it's different than getting a good drum sound like when you're just making a video. Like I've done that plenty of times. Those of you who have seen my channel and other videos that I've edited and whatever. Because you can tweak all day, you know, in Pro Tools or Logic and get a good mix and then put it with your video and then release your video. But streaming, it's like real time. You got to have the stuff dialed in like right now. And so this is the challenge. But after seeing Alexander's stuff, I was like inspired to go back and like make another video where I can like take my time and tweak the drum sound and all that, you know. But I gave into the temptation of streaming, and the temptation is just fire and forget. Hit a button and play, and it's done. Yeah, but we'll see. Actually, if anyone wants to suggest a topic for a video, like a video that's properly edited and anything, then that might help, because I was actually struggling to like, hey, what cool like idea or lesson could we do for a video? Because it's been so long since I've done one of those, you know. So let's see what else is going on. What else is folks saying? Let's see. Gary Much on YouTube says, can you demonstrate some left-hand lead fills? I'm very right-hand biased. Okay. Looking and sounding great, Steve. Lavish D, Happy New Year. What's the approximate tempo for a drummer, in your opinion, to play hand-foot doubles on a single pedal before it becomes a double pedal tempo? Oh, man. That's like per person. It's going to change, you know. Per person. It's going to be different. But like doubles, like, you know, double on the hand, double on the foot. Like, how fast can I do it before I have to switch to double pedal? You know what? I'm okay with just always using the double pedal. You know, like some days I'm like, why do the work? Why play the double with the single foot? Like, just, you've got two pedals, like, just, you know, play the double with the double pedal maybe. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling. I mean, obviously there's value to being able to da-da-ba-ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-da with the hand and the foot. I would like to get that kind of at a decent tempo and clean before I have to switch to the double pedal. But the thing is, like playing two notes on a double pedal with two different feet sounds completely different than playing two notes on a single pedal with one foot, even at the same tempo. Because, you know, the way the beater hits, like if you're playing with one foot, like the way the beater hits the head and then hits it again, like, you know, it depends on your technique. Like, are you muffling that first? Are you burying that first note, etc., as opposed to like, you know, 2 feet where you may not be? It's going to sound different. And, you know, I wouldn't even say that one sounds better than the other. Oh, I really hope you guys can hear me okay. Yeah, it looks like we're good on the audio side. They just sound different, and you want to get good at both. I mean, that's what I say about everything. Just get good at everything, and you choose which method to use, you know? Because it may just be as much as, like, as easy as, like, how you're feeling that day. Like, today I'm feeling like a double pedal kind of thing. Like, I tried to turn on some double bass garbage earlier and, you know, just to see what would happen. And, you know, you all saw that crash and burn. Anyway, that's my answer. That's for Lavish D, long-time stream watcher, Lavish D. What's going on? Let's see, Tyler, great stuff. Thank you. Do something with your remote hi-hat. I did towards the end there. I was like trying to mess with it, and we changed the tension, and man, this thing, I just put it here to force me to try to come up with different ideas. That's why this is here, you know, to make me, like, what are some limitations of the hi-hat on the right? Like, you know, it's like maybe, hey, the left hand can't do as much like Tom stuff, and so this, when you do the X hat, it like frees that up. And so that's why I was trying to come up with like different grooves, you know, using the left hand on the toms on the X hat, but I didn't get much traction with that. I'd kind of wore myself out at that point. Yeah, so we did some X hat stuff. James McCarthy says, love this, Steve. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. Ahmet Iman Arve says, great play, man, like a poem. Thank you. Let's see, love the crossover lick that descends down the toms. Yeah. I remember that was a bit of Derek DeFields doing it on House of Drumming. So cool. Nice to see it burst out. Oh, man. Dude, yes. I love the old school references. Okay, so for those that don't know, houseofdrumming.com is my website. It's a really old drumming website, and all that's there now is just a forum where a group of us just kind of hang out and chat and stuff. And it's still there, but it's old, man. We've been hanging out on that forum for a long time, like late 90s, early 2000s. And a good friend of mine, who I'll mention now because he was already mentioned on here, Derek DeFields, really good friend of mine, amazing drummer. And Derek played snare in Blue Devils. All right, so those of you that know what that means, he's basically like, it means in terms of like rudimental drumming, he's like a Navy SEAL. You know, it's like those you know, the professional drum corps drum lines are just insane. And so he played snare for Blue Devils. He has amazing hands, amazing technique. And as you saw the thing I was trying to do, where it's like, you know, what we call the ladder, which is like alternating hands on feet, but like say 3 on each hand, like da 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 da. But then on the right, like you spread out those 3 strokes over 3 toms, like like as you saw, it's like splitting up 2, like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and then splitting up 3, you know, like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, each one with a foot underneath of it, right? So it's like right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, right? That's the basic ladder for me, right? Some guys do it differently. But let me play that really slow, just so folks know what I'm talking about. Just the right hand. So that's what that is. All right, we call that the ladder. And it's like it has it has no musical legitimacy. Like I literally did it as it's a good exercise mentally. It's a good coordination exercise. It gets the limbs moving around the drums. Like it's a good just warm up, get the blood flowing, get the motion going. And because of the alternating strokes with the hand and feet, it forces you to use all four limbs. So make sure you're centered like that. It's just an exercise, really. I mean, and it sounds kind of neat, like it's interesting because when I do it on the toms, you can hear the power difference in the right hand and the left hand. Like my right hand is much stronger than my left on this particular exercise. But yeah, Derek DeField does that so well. Let's see. I wonder how the robot AI drummers of the future are going to sound. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that, actually. David Gonzalez says, hello, man. David, hello, man. Let's see. Left hand, Herta is slick. Herta. Great left hand technique. Where is your background? My background is here. It's just a wall. There used to be a window here. I'm just kidding. I'm feeling a little sassy today, as folks can see. Yeah, my background. Let's see. 30-second background. Okay, grew up in New Jersey. Taught myself how to play drums along with progressive rock records. Neil Peart, Alex Van Halen, 80s pop music, Huey Lewis, Men at Work. Then marched in high school, traditional grip, clean doubles, really good drum instructor in high school. Got into jazz fusion drumming, took private lessons, learned basic jazz independence, had my hands together from the Neil Peart / high school rudimental stuff, moved to LA, committed to traditional grip only, and dove into drumming like in a big way at that point. It was basically a pilgrimage in the 90s where I went to see every big name drummer as much as I possibly could and practiced my ass off. There's my 30-second background. Let's see. People are saying things. Man, this whole... When you play doubles, do you accent the second note? Does it matter? I don't. It's funny. People keep asking that. I don't do that, actually. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I personally have never worked on that. Cool. Did you get a switcher? No, I didn't get a switcher. I just got another camera working, and I'm switching with OBS. I'm switching scenes in OBS. OBS is Open Broadcast Software. I think that's what it stands for. Anyway, OBS is free. Anyone that's interested in streaming should use OBS, in my opinion. OBS is great. So that's what I'm using to switch cameras. I wanted to use my GoPro today, but I need a longer USB-C cord. So that's on the list. A long USB-C, let's see, male to male is what I need, like a long one. USB-C or Thunderbolt 4 or 3. Let's see, what would your advice be to get nice flow of doubles across the kit? Man, we don't have time to talk about that kind of thing. Let's see, sounds great. Love the left hand, right foot singles and the jazz you did towards the end. Yeah, I tried to get that going. I hate to say it, but I saw Greg Bissonette do that. Hey there, would you be able to advise on getting a nice flow of doubles? Sorry, we talked about that already. Man, doubles across the kit, I actually don't do that so much. I don't do like doubles on the toms. And that's one thing I noticed about that guy I mentioned, Alexander Marenko. He does like doubles on his toms and stuff, and I don't. And that's it. It's not bad or better, it just is. Let's see, any plans for Shed Some Light 2? Everything I've released since Shed Some Light is Shed Some Light 2. For those that don't know, Shed Some Light is an actual instructional DVD that I released in the late 90s. You can actually get it on Amazon. I believe I was the first drummer to sell an instructional video exclusively on the internet, like a legitimate video. Like it was a video cassette that you could buy on my website, House of Drumming. And I sold that through the website. I had some folks in the television industry that helped me make a video, a pro video in a studio. It was really cool. It was really fun, actually. This is like late 90s. It was called Shed Some Light. We sold it on my website, House of Drumming, which was fun. And then Hal Leonard approached me and asked me if they could publish a DVD version of it. Actually, there's one guy that is responsible for that connection. And I forget his name. I feel so bad. But he bought it. He loved it. He worked at Hal Leonard, and he asked me if he could show it to some people there. And they liked it, and we did a deal where where Hal Leonard published the DVD. It's called Shed Some Light. And it's not, obviously it didn't sell a whole lot. It's not even on YouTube or anything like that. That's how unpopular it is. Like, no one bothered to to put it on YouTube. It's funny. Yeah, I remember, like, obviously I was thrilled, and it helped, actually. Having a legitimate product out at that time helped get endorsements and stuff. At that point, then it helped me, with getting Zildjian and Yamaha and stuff. That was fun. Putting out a DVD. If you Google it, you'll see pictures of it. Steve Holmes, Shed Some Light. Anyway, the question is about making a sequel, and the answer is no. There's no plans to make like Shed Some Light 2, but obviously, for those of you that have seen my YouTube channel, there's tons of content on there. And so that's Shed Some Light 2. It's all the stuff I've done. This is Shed Some Light 2. Everything is. Let's see. What are folks saying? Happy New Year, says Christian. Thank you on Facebook. Christian, Happy New Year, buddy. Nice drum sound. Thank you, Jean Nadeau or Jean. I'm butchering the name. Sorry. Yeah, new drum heads. Freshly tuned. It's a roll of the dice sometimes when you put on new heads, just like place your bets. So I think it sounds okay. Let's see. Arnaud on YouTube says, hey, Steve, when you play with your left hand traditional grip, you don't use the major fingers on single strokes. It's possible to use this finger or not. Sure, it is possible. I use fingers sometimes, like towards the end when I did that the single hand roll with the foot, like dibba 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 dibba, and the swing pattern against it. I flip the hand over and use fingers. And I've worked on fingers, and a lot of the guys into this style of drumming, we've all graduated from the Weckel school, and we've all worked on our finger dribbling. And I use it for like lower volume stuff. The finger stuff there's not a lot of power in fingers, but it's great for like kind of medium to low volume finessey ghost notey strokes, which kind of just because you're not exclusively using fingers, it doesn't mean that they're not contributing a little bit. The three engines, in my opinion, it's like, fingers, wrist, arm. And so just because you don't see someone like doing that, it doesn't mean the fingers aren't contributing. It's like, it's possible that it's like 10% fingers, whatever, 30% wrist and 60% arm. Like, it just depends on the volume and the stroke, really. But I like, exercising the fingers and getting the fingers to contribute as much as possible. Let's see, did you catch any of Vinny's New Year's Eve gig with Les Claypool, a cool vid on YouTube where he plays open-handed at the end for a bit? It's worth checking out. Okay, I saw a little bit of it. I didn't see all of it. And it was, it's certainly exciting to have a new Vinny vid to check out, but I didn't see a whole lot of it. For those of you that don't know, we're talking about Vinny Colaiuta. Played a gig on New Year's Eve with Les Claypool of Primus fame. I need to check it out, actually. Let's see. I'm having imbalance issues as I'm transitioning, says Ralph on YouTube. From heel down to heel up. Yeah, I know. Just keep practicing. Anything else more physio specific? That's funny. If you're having problems with something, and you're like, I know. I just need to like practice more. But it does help sometimes to get someone to discuss that thing, even though you just need to sit down and do the work. Sometimes it helps. It gives you a push. Things can feel stale, even though you just need to sit down and do it. But let me reread the question. I'm transitioning from heel down to heel up. Interesting. I know that Dave DiCenzo is a big proponent of heel down, which I always thought was interesting because he's one of my favorite drummers of all time. He's probably like top 3 at this point. Top 3, top 4, top 5, Dave DiCenzo. For those of you that aren't familiar with him, no one plays like DiCenzo. Literally no one. I just love that guy's drumming so much. And I'm pretty sure he plays heel down, and he's a double bass wizard, man. He does like rolls for days with his feet. and he plays heel down. But I mean, anyway, to answer your question, if you're transitioning from heel down to heel up, pardon me a moment, and you're having some balance issues from heel down to heel up, yeah, I know, just keep her. Man, if you're talking about balance, I mean, yeah, the only thing I'll say about balance is when you're working on anything, let's do this. Can we do this? And you can still hear me, right? Yes. You can still hear me. Okay, if you're working on like a particular limb, or if you're changing, like, hey, I'm changing from traditional grip to match grip, or I'm changing from heel down to heel up, or I'm working on like double bass stuff, like even if it's just one limb, you always want to practice in a fashion to where you're simulating using all your limbs, right? Like, so an example, for example, if I'm working on just my foot, I don't want to just like take my left foot off the hi-hat and just like rest it. You know what I mean? You want to be like in the position you're going to be when you're playing. And if you're working on your right foot, it helps to like use your other limbs, because if you're using all four limbs, that's going to force you to put your weight in the center, which is where I think it should be. Your weight should be in the center so that you're free to use all four limbs at the same time. You're not leaning on your left side. You're not leaning on your right side, because if you do that, that's just bad. So yeah, I would just, even though you're working on foot stuff, like play a groove, you know, and check the hi-hat while you're working on the foot, you know. So the point there is that I'm practicing my right foot, but all of the limbs are moving, right? Like I started with that classic, you know, the classic groove where you play like the dotted eighth figure with the right foot, but whatever. But I'm checking eighth notes with the right hand, playing eighth notes, checking eighth notes with the left foot, playing eighth notes with the right hand, playing backbeat with the left hand. All the limbs are moving. And you can't do that if you're having balance issues. So I would recommend practicing in that fashion. Not all the time. It's okay to practice like just the limb. Like if I just want to work on my right foot, that's fine. Just sit here and just work on your right foot and that's it. But also, I would recommend also do what I just did, which is work on that limb, but while using all the other limbs so that you prevent balance issues. And we're back. All right. That was for Ralph Hale. That was for you, Ralph. Let's see an example of double single stroke at 200 BPM. Double strokes and single strokes at 200 BPM at what subdivision are we talking about? 16th notes, 32nd notes. I don't have a metronome right now. Sorry. My metronome app is dead, Jim. So, let's see. Have you ever worked with Inner Drumming by George Marsh? I haven't, says Dr. Ummer. That's a funny name. I haven't, but you have successfully plugged it. When are you coming back to New Jersey? I want to book a lesson. Chris says, Christopher O'Donnell. Thank you, Chris, for the interest. We can do a lesson over Zoom or Skype, and it'll be this same quality. But I'm not going to be, I have no plans to return to Jersey at this point in time. I grew up in New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey, for those that don't know. And I appreciate the question. I appreciate the interest, Chris. Let's see. Adam Wilson says, hey, Steve, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hey, Steve, what's your foot technique when you're doing splashy hi-hat quarter notes? That's a good question. Greetings from Denmark. What is this video about? Yes, I love it. It says Marvin Music. Marvin Music is like, hey, what is this? what is this video about, you guys? That's a great question. This video is, it's just like the Seinfeld of drumming. Like, it's about nothing. We're just talking. We're just drumming. We're just hanging out. It's about all the things we've talked about. It's about whatever you ask about, okay? Which reminds me, sometimes I think I shouldn't answer questions. I should just come with pre-prepared topics and be like, okay, today we're going to talk about ghost notes, and that's all. And I don't know. I like the interaction of this. You know, it's fun. So that's the answer. Will Plout says, Steve, what's up? Gush. How's LA? Oh, man, gush. How does the gush sound with the new head, Will? I don't know if you heard any. LA is rainy. It's very rainy right now. There's lots of rain here, which is good because we need it. There was a serious drought this year, so much so that we had actually restrictions on how often you can water your lawn. Yeah. What is life about? This is getting deep. I'm tempted to answer that, actually. Let's see. Royo Sergio. What's up, Steve? One of my favorite heroes besides Kalyuta, Borlai, and Weckel. Oh, thank you so much. I don't even belong. Don't even mention my name with those guys. But those three guys, yes, Kalyuta, Weckel, and Borlai. Those of you who don't know, Gergo Borlai is just... Love Gergo's playing. Love. Adam asked about the left foot technique when we splash the hi-hat. I wonder if I can position this camera so we can get a look at it. There's so many things plugged into this laptop. I'm afraid to like move it. Yeah, we can see it there, right? All right. I mean, honestly, my let me turn on the audio here. My foot technique when splashing the hi-hat, it's like embarrassing. My foot is like, it's like halfway down the pedal and like tilted off, like, but it works pretty well, I think. And so I'm going to tilt the camera down and just play a little bit and do some various like tight and loose hi-hat stuff with my foot so you can see what's happening there, okay? There you go. My questionable left foot technique. I gotta admit, using the camera on the laptop, like being able to like move it really easily, like this is handy. Meanwhile, people are like, so sloshing the hi-hat with the left foot, chicking the hi-hat, like it's important to me to be in control of that, like chick versus splash. And playing on the hi-hat, like keeping it tight, keeping it kind of halfway loose, like you want full control over that stuff. All that stuff is intentional. my little Stuart Copeland wannabe phrasing. And yeah, that's it. That's what my foot looks like. So I hope that's helpful. That was for who asked about that? Oh, Adam Wilson. Right, Adam, that was for you. Adam on YouTube. So there we go. What else are people saying? I am a drummer myself. Okay, sounds cool, says Marvin Music. Let's see, what is life about? Let's see, cheers from Croatia. Cheers, man, all over the world. When you're writing 30-second notes to the hats during a groove, do you tend to favor singles or doubles? I'm more of a singles player, but I find it difficult to get them smooth on the hats during a groove. That's true because you should use doubles. Okay. Man, that's a no-brainer. I mean, it's not a no-brainer, but for me, if you want like clean 30 seconds, I always do doubles. Like, why do the work of like singles? That's the thing about doubles versus singles, man, is like if for me personally, I've practiced the doubles enough to where it's like it just doesn't take anywhere as much effort to do them as singles. But my singles aren't that good. So maybe if my singles were better, then it wouldn't take as much effort to do those. I don't know. I do think that there's an inherent cleanliness to doubles that you cannot get with singles, and vice versa. So it depends on the sound that you're going for. If you want a clean single stroke sound, then that's what you should do. And just like we talked about before, it's like you want to be able to do both. And you decide which one to do. You definitely don't want to do something because that's the only way you know how to do it. You want to be able to do all the things, and like you decide what sounds best for what you're trying to do. Okay? I have a bunch of waters here that are like all almost empty because I forgot to grab a freshie. How about the new Vinny sticks? Says Will. Yeah, you guys, Vinny changed to Vater, which is interesting because, well, just because. You know, I've been a Vater guy for a long time. I'm all about the Vater 5Bs. You go back and watch all my streams. People ask about my sticks, and I love Vaters. I am not a Vater artist. We've talked about that on here too, like almost in a joking fashion, because I'm not touring stadiums. And I've talked to the guy over there, Chad, and we got some traction. We were going back and forth, and they expressed interest, but we just never finished. And I think about bugging him actually and being like, Chad, I love your sticks. Like, can we work something out? But yeah, Vinny switched to a custom model, which I am curious about because I bet you it's close. I'll bet it's very close to a 5B, which is what I use. Love my Vater 5Bs. I was at Guitar Center the other day, and I don't even remember the last time I bought sticks because I buy them in bulk. And man, they're like $10, $11 a pair now. Whatever. Let's see. Laylee says, big playing, Steve. Thank you. Lyle Engel says, sup, Steve? What's up, Lyle? Lyle's a longtime friend, excellent songwriter, musician, singer. I used to be in a band with Lyle years ago. One of my favorite bands that I've been in. Lyle was acoustic guitar and singing. We had this great bass player named Giuseppe Patine. We had this great violin player, electric violin, named Dorian Chia. Dorian, I'm sorry I haven't used your tracks on my stream yet. Myself on drums. And I think I have a live recording of us from a long time ago that I thought about putting on SoundCloud. Lyle, that gig, the CD of Live at The Gig, that was the name of the place, at The Gig on Melrose. That's a great recording. We should put that on SoundCloud. As opposed to the recording we did at your friend's house, which did not sound that good because despite doing it there, I was never happy with that mix. And at this point, I'm convinced that I could get a much better drum sound here than you guys did there. But I love you. Oh, man. Were you a rudimental drummer growing up? Says the original swimmer on YouTube. Yes, see, earlier in the stream we talked about I did a quick summarization of my background. Let's see, Plot says, do you know Marvin Smitty Smith, Steve? I know he's out in LA. He's got to be one of my favorite players. Interesting. You know what? Yeah, Marvin Smitty Smith. I went to see a friend of mine play, this sax player named Frank Fontaine. He's a really good friend of mine. And he had Marvin Smitty Smith on drums. This was years ago. This was probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. And they were playing upstairs at some restaurant in LA on Tahunga. And you know what? It was some of the best drumming I've ever seen. Like, it was. I love Marvin Smitty Smith's drumming, especially after that night. And it's funny because I almost took a lesson with him when he was on The Tonight Show. This is all reminding me now. Before the internet, like in the 90s, me and my drummer friends, on the weekend, we'd be bored, and we'd go to Guitar Center and just geek out, like play on the kit, try out different cymbals, blah, blah, blah. And we went there on my birthday one time. That's how much of a loser I was. It was my birthday. I'm like, hey, let's go to Guitar Center and play drums. Oh, man. Anyway, Marvin Smitty Smith was there, and we hung out a little bit and geeked out. And I remember talking to him about, I showed him this lick, and we asked him about, not to infer that I taught him anything. We were just, hanging out, having fun. And we were talking about jazz drumming, and I got his number, and I was going to take a lesson with him. This is when he was with the Tonight Show band, after Tane, right? Yeah, after Tane. First it was Branford Marsalis with Jeff Tane Watts, and then Kevin Eubanks took over, and it was Smitty Smith. Anyway, I was going to take a lesson with him, and I remember having to cancel because someone broke into my truck and stole my pedal, I think, and I had to get a new pedal, and so I couldn't afford the lesson. This is literally like the mid to late 90s, I think, maybe early 2000s. And so it was in the starving artist days, and so I had to cancel my lesson with him. But yes, I love his drumming. He's got a YouTube channel, actually, that last I checked does not have a lot of subscribers. So I would recommend checking out Marvin Smitty Smith. Maybe not so much on YouTube, but there's tons of great jazz recordings that he is on. So yes, tons of respect for Smitty Smith. Let's see. I feel like Vinny changes brands a lot, says Adam Wilson. That's true, and that's an interesting topic, actually. A lot of drummers... Not a lot, but some guys change a lot. Like Vinny obviously has been doing the drum endorsement hopscotch over the last 10 years. Like for 1 minute it was Ludwig, and then it was Gretsch, and then it was Ludwig, and then he's back with Gretsch now, right? I think. I forget. It's like Greg Bissonette in the 90s, right? Didn't Greg switched a lot for a while. He was like when he first hit the scene, in the 80s, it was Pearl, and then Yamaha, and then now he's actually the folks he's with now, he's been with for a while, for a long time, and I forget the name. Anyways, yes, Vinny switches a lot. And, as much as it's easy to roll your eyes at that kind of thing, guys switch cymbals, guys switch sticks, guys switch drums, it's easy to roll your eyes and be like, oh, whatever, right? But when you think about it more, and you think about guys that all they do is drum, and they do these tours where it's months at a time, the same set, the same kit, and it's so dense, and there's just so much of the same thing that I think as an artist in any capacity, no matter what you're doing, if you're playing music, if you're painting, if you're drawing, after a while, it helps creatively to just reset and introduce a new thing, because that's going to kind of affect your creativity, probably in a positive way. That's right, Vinny switched to pasty, right, a few years ago, and Weck switched to Sabian in the 90s, and that was a huge thing, and it was inside baseball, and people like to talk about it and whatever. But I think that it's easy to just kind of fold your arms and roll your eyes, because that's that would be my first instinct. But if you think about it more, I think that's part of the reason that folks switch. And there's also whatever things that nobody knows about, how helpful are they when you're in the middle of, whatever, Timbuk 3 and you need a new, whatever, 12-inch tom-tom, who knows? No one knows. No one knows. And so it's fun to talk about, but you shouldn't judge. And at the end of the day, the caliber of player that all these guys are, it almost doesn't matter what they play. They're going to sound amazing, So that's my caution about judging that kind of thing. Adam Wilson. I feel like Vinny changes brands a lot. It's funny. We should hang out, Adam. I can just hear the sorry. It's just my brand of sarcasm. Worldwide Ghost says, hi, Steve, and everyone on YouTube. I play the Vic Firth SD10 swingers. Nice. Yeah, Vic makes great sticks. Famous drummer from Croatia. Let's see, these guys are talking about Croatia now. Ken doing a rundown of the drums. Can you do a rundown of the drums? I must have missed it. Killer playing. Thank you. Take this job and shove it is your name on YouTube, which is actually the name of a song. There's an old country song. Take this job and shove it. I know that because it was on a record that my dad had when I was very, very little. And I recorded that song onto a cassette tape and I brought it in to show and tell at school and I got in big trouble. Yep, that's funny. Take this job and I remember that song. Anyway, sorry, the drums, like look in the description. I have like every cymbal, every drum listed in the description of the video, but these are Yamaha Phoenix drums. I love these drums. This is a Pearl Snare, Zildjian Cymbals. Love the Yamaha drums. Yeah, the Phoenix drums are the best drums in the world. Let's see. House drumming was great back in the day. Shout out to Jeff. Jeff in man, I don't know how to say his last name. Indeek. Sorry, I don't know how to say Jeff's name. Yes, good times on the House of Drumming forum. Let's see. Over your drumming life, what do you think is most important, useful single exercise of any other thing for your drumming and development? Man, there is no single thing. You know, because what am I going to say? Like, oh, get your time good. Like, that's all. Like, okay, now you have good time, but your feel sucks. Okay, get good feel. Okay, well, now you have good feel, but your time sucks. Like, okay, get clean doubles. Okay, now you have clean doubles. But, like, there's no one thing. There's so many things, you know? And there's so many really important things. It's impossible to be like, oh, just this one thing, you know? But the one thing that is probably worth mentioning that has nothing to do with drumming, and that's just listen to music. Become a music expert. Become an expert in different genres. Listen to successful music that you don't like and ask yourself why it's successful. Try to figure out why it's successful. You know, listen to, you know, popular music of all the decades. You know, take a week and only listen to 70s music and Google the top 10 rock drummers of the 70s and get to know them. It's like 1 week, only 1 week. Like, do that. And like the next week, do the 80s, like top 10 rock drummers, like top 10 hits of all, you know, top 10 jazz of the 80s, 70s. Like, there's just so much, you know, like use the internet, put down your phone, do the research, ingest that music, because that is going to improve the part of your brain that sends you your drumming. No one ever talks about this. And I don't want to go off on a big thing again, because I've gone off on a big thing on this before, but man, the part of your brain that sends you your drumming, like no one talks about that. Where does that get its ideas? It gets it from what you put into it, the music that you put into it, and like what you understand and what you think about and what you feel. It's crazy, this process. That's something that's worth mentioning. Let's see. Do not move to Hawaii. I love it here, but there's no music. Talking Big Island. Okay, noted. Will not move to Hawaii. Let's see. When am I? Let's see. Simon on YouTube. When I'm training my arm independence, I try to play grooves with lots of ghost notes. Also open-handed. Would you recommend this as an efficient way of training your arm independence? There's a couple things going on here. We talked about a technique, open-handed. We also talked about ghost notes, but we're also talking about independence. So those are all like three things that you can work on like independently. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure how to answer this. Try to play grooves with lots of ghost notes. So you're using the open-handed technique for ghost notes, and would I recommend that? Man, I don't know. I'd have to see. I mean, I don't know. Open-handed could be a number of things. I'm not sure what you mean when you say open-handed. So I'm going to pass. Sorry. Let's see. Do you still have your burnt orange Gretsch? I don't. I never did. I don't know if that question is for me. This is from Rayo Sergio. I never had burnt orange Gretsch, actually. Let's see. Since we're talking LA drummers, are you familiar with Frank Briggs? Huge influence on me, says Risman. Yes, I know Frank. Frank's retired. Last I saw, I went to Frank's website and there was a thing on there that said like he's retired, and I think he moved to Arizona, I think. And yeah, Frank's a great drummer. You know, he did a segment on Drumeo. He had a very significant drum video and book in the, I don't know if it was the 80s or 90s. Yeah, Frank's a great drummer and a super nice guy. What do you think of the Sonar? Blah, says Rayo. I'm not familiar with those drums. I haven't spent any time with them, so I can't say. Let's see. Do you know drummer David Logman? No, I do not. Let's see. Oh, Johnny Paycheck song, yes. Take this jaw, band shut. Sorry. I have searched, yes, and I did listen to... Oh, okay, we're talking about like listening to music and stuff. A few books from Dom Famularo's website recently. What a guy Dom is. Incredible inspiration and so much fun. Yes. Dom is a great inspiration to tons of drummers. Yeah, I remember seeing a clinic of Dom Famularo in the 80s. It was him and Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel in Berlin, New Jersey, at a place called The Music Place. And I was just blown away. This was like mid-80s, late 80s. And Dom did his thing, man, and we were all blown away. I hope Dom is in good health. I read on Facebook that he was healing, and he was not well, but I hope that he is well, and I hope that he is healthy, because he is just so positive, such a great inspiration to so many drummers. Let's see, Adam Wilson. I'm experiencing it right now with friends, store manager for Guitar Center in Hawaii. They opened move. Okay. Let's see. Well, bet that was cool. Dom's playing is just explosive. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're all caught up on chat. What drummers are you listening to now? Geez. Well, that guy I mentioned, that guy from Ukraine. That's who I'm kind of digging into, his video channel on YouTube, and just enjoying it. I'm terrible with names, so I just want to make sure I get his name correct. But this is the guy that I've been, Alexander Marenko. Check him out on YouTube, you guys. Such good stuff. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit more, I guess, and then we're going to call it. I wasn't even planning on doing a whole thing. I just wanted to sit down and play, and so I've done that, but I guess I'll play a little bit more since there seems to be a fair bit of people here. But I'm just going to play the same stuff I always play, because that's what I do every stream, because I can't reinvent myself every time I do this. Sorry. All right, so I think, should we leave it on this cam? Or should we do the overhead cam? I'm going to leave it on this cam, because last time I did the overhead cam. All right, so I'm going to play a little bit more. I'm just going to mess around, I'm just going to improvise, and then we're going to call it. Thanks for hanging out. My name is Steve Holmes. If anyone's interested in contributing financially to this endeavor, I'm on PayPal, steveholmes@gmail.com. If you're interested in lessons, email me, steveholmes@gmail.com. Let's do some more drumming. Whatever. It's hard to like do a thing, solo around it, and come back to the thing like in time. You know, like the floor time and open hi-hat. It's hard. I tried to stick to it, but you start to get really busy, and it's like you don't come back right. I don't come back right. All right. So we played a little bit. We embarrassed ourselves, and I think we're gonna call it. Worldwide Ghost says, "Give us some Dave Wickle chicken. How about some Peter Erskine chicken instead?" Man, the original chicken, not the original, but like with Jocko and Peter, like that shit is hard because it's a fast shuffle. Like he's shuffling the hi-hat. Like watch those old clips of Peter with Jocko. That's the right tempo for that tune, you know? Tick tock, tick tick. He's like shuffling it a little bit. It's like that in between. It's shuffle it straight Erskine on there, man. Weck plays it really fast and like really busy, and I don't particularly care for it. But he plays it amazing, and I love Dave, and it's okay to not like something. I'm just saying I don't like that particular tune, that rendition of that tune. Let's see. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. My name is Steve Holmes, and we'll do this again at some point. You know, this is therapy for me. This is just getting it out of our system, drumming and exercising the brain, exercising the body, trying to be creative. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. We'll do this again. If you haven't seen my channel, my YouTube channel, there's tons of videos on there. Definitely check it out. Shouldn't be hard to find. Just, you know, search for me on YouTube. You'll find the channel. Tons of instructional stuff. All these streams, we've done so many of these streams. They're all on there. And I'm thinking about actually coding up a page, a web page, a simple web page that like lists like every topic from every stream, and it's like a clickable. It'll play in the same like embedded player up the top of the page. There's like an embedded player with a list of topics of all the streams. You just click on the topic and it'll play that timestamp in the player. That's my idea. So we might do that. We'll see. All right. Thanks for hanging out. My name's Steve Holmes. We'll see you